All right. Welcome back to another Wisdom Wednesday discussion. I am Sans Inspire, your guide, generating, uplifting, inspiring, developing, and empowering you to live inspired every day, forever, because that's life. And in this life, we are meant to be inspired, which is to not stop prospering. It requires effort daily. And our discussion today centers around us, you. This is who it always centers around. Yet what we want to do is identify what we need to grow into who we are meant to be. You hear of passion, purpose, desire, the journey, figuring out who we are, then embodying that so that our life can be inspired. Reflection and release. We have to look back and let go to create space for growth. And that's not always easy to do. And because we know that it's a struggle at times to be able to release, to let things go, to reflect, to look back on something, and to want to learn the lesson from that. I got an affirmation for you. This can help reflect and release or identify those things we need to reflect and release on. So the affirmation is, I reflect on my journey and release what no longer serves my growth. I reflect on my journey and release what no longer serves my growth. That is very important because it is our journey. It is our trauma. It is our fears, our uncertainty, our doubt that affects our life. So I must reflect on my journey and release what no longer serves me, even if you don't like it. Because it's not about you, it's about me. And if I am intent on being a better person, then there are things that I need to do regardless of what anybody else is or is not doing. We have one life to live. Yet it's interesting because we seem to live in this one life the lives of others. We keep wanting to do what someone else is doing, to experience what someone else is experiencing, to believe how someone else believes, to walk how they walk, to talk how they talk, instead of being ourselves and receiving the life that is meant for us. We may be in turmoil at this time, and it's because we are not living the life that is meant for us. We may have been given this identity. We may have taken on this identity because it felt more comfortable. We wanted to fit in. Whatever the reasons are, whatever the reasons were, whatever the reasons may be, you have the power to change that. You don't have to do anything. And I like to let that sit because we feel so obligated every single day of our waking lives that we need to do something. Yet the something that we should be doing, we're not, because we're doing too much of another thing. We're living too much the life that someone else prescribed or we believed would make us more popular, more likable, bring us more money, more happiness. And it hasn't done that. So we must reflect and release so that we can create space for the growth, for our journey to release what no longer serves my growth. So the opening question that I have for you is, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? What are you holding on to? You don't want to let it go, but it no longer serves you. You feel that. Somewhere deep down inside, you know this thing isn't benefiting me anymore. It's taking more out of me to do this thing, to be with this person, to be at this job, to think this way, to act this way, whatever it may be. And yet we're holding on to it. And if you hold on when you're supposed to let go, you know what's going to happen? You get pulled in a direction. You get yanked. Now you're holding on when you're supposed to let go. You are now being pulled by that thing, going where it wants you to go. Once you let go, now, because you've been holding on so long, you may be in a place that you don't recognize. That's how we end up lost. The beauty is we have an internal GPS system that allows us to always find our way, no matter where we're lost. Where we find ourselves is where we remind ourselves that it's up to us. If we got here, we can get ourselves out of it. How did we get here? Mm-hmm. But I know that I can get myself out of it. And that's something that I want to relay. That's something that I do relay often, is the fact that instead of worrying about being stuck, recognize that you are stuck and know that you can get yourself unstuck. If you're lost, don't worry about being lost. Recognize that you may be lost and know that you can find yourself again. These things are only temporary conditions, and yet we inflate them to make them huge, lifelong issues that we never let go of. So what burdens or beliefs, sometimes those things can be similar, what burdens or beliefs are you carrying that hinder your growth? One of those burdens or beliefs that I used to carry was that I was not good enough. I was inferior. And I believe that because I was taught this. And I know for a fact I was taught this because I was in school and I read the books and I saw what they said, and it started to seep into my consciousness. And I believe that. I believe that, because I was Black and I grew up in a certain neighborhood, that I could never achieve a certain status, that I would always be lesser than, underneath, below, not capable, unable. And I was all those things when I believed all those things. When I cared about someone else's appreciation for me. When I cared about someone else's understanding of me at a time when I really didn't even understand myself. I'm caring about what other people or how other people understood me or what they thought. And I didn't even have my own thoughts. And I'm not saying this to demean a person, place, or a thing. I live in the United States of America. It is what it is. Our education system is what it is. Our history is what it is. And so that's where I talk from, what it is. So there's no need to argue. See, I was arguing with people when I cared about their opinions. When I tried to prove to them that I was worth something, that I was worthy, that I wasn't less than that. That's when I cared about their opinions. It wasn't until I realized that I didn't have my own opinion or my own thought that I stopped caring about others' opinions and their thoughts, because I recognized they didn't have their own either. So what was I arguing about at that time? It was a burden for me because what I believed wasn't true. So it weighed down on me. There's a lot of reflection that went into that. A lot of releasing that went into that. I not only had to reflect for myself, I not only had to release for myself, I had to release for my children. I had to release for my parents. Because what my parents went through, what they experienced, whether they knew it or not, whether it was planned or not, they spilled some of that over on me. So their fears, their uncertainty, their doubt spilled over on me. And I began to assume a lot of that. And so I had to reflect over time and release these things that no longer serve me. Because it no longer made sense for me to walk around with my head down, in doubt, in fear that somebody is going to take something from me or could take my life, or I can't do this. They're going to block access, not allow. I had to release that. Now, it didn't mean that those things that I was told never happened. It didn't take away from the actual history. What it did is released me. I was no longer attached to it. I could now see both the negatives and the positives. So my past history, which in this country is only told from one side, that, my ancestors were savages that needed to be saved. And I didn't want to belong to a group of savages. What? So I was throwing away parts of me because I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be anything but that. So you start getting rid of parts of yourself. Because who wants to be flawed, right? You want to be perfect. This is what everybody talks about and what everybody strives to be. Yet the understanding is that the flaw within the flaw is the perfection. It's the same as saying that loss is what leads to the wins. That unless you lose, you can't inspire. You ain't inspired. So therefore, losers do inspire. Because here, like we say over and over again, losers inspire everyone. When they love outreaching, set expectations, rewarding self. Because here, that's what we define it as. And that took a long time. It was a long time coming. But I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. When you apply yourself. So that meant not simply accepting all the things I was told. I had to listen. What am I hearing? Then I learned to invite that in, not to just accept it, to say that can come because I need that, or I want to understand that more. I want to dive into that more, or I accept that. So I invite it so that then I can understand it better. This is where we verify. And now I can express a new understanding, a new intelligence, a new wisdom, a new me. I had to create space for growth. I had to reflect back on that past, that traumatic history, what my ancestors went through, what my grandmother went through, what my mother went through, my uncles went through. It's not that far. Yet I still had to reflect on that. And I had to release some things. And it allowed me to grow more into this understanding, to not fear loss, to embrace it. And that is what began to uplift, empower, and inspire my life. Yet I know I'm not the only one that has gone through an identity crisis where you thought you were something and you found out, or you thought you were nothing, excuse me, and then you found out you were something. It's up to us. Well, we may not recognize this, but we are either going to accept, allow, or reject and disapprove. So you're either accepting these things and allowing them in your life, or you're rejecting these things and disapproving of them. So I either accept that I am somebody and then I allow myself to grow, or I accept that I am nobody and I allow myself to be diminished, or I don't agree and I disapprove. See, we think if I accept, I'm better than a person that doesn't accept. It's like you're doing very much the same thing. So I accept that I'm nobody and I allow myself to be diminished. You disagree that you're somebody, so you disapprove that you can be anything. And we're identifying where we are to create that space. Because if I allow it, then I need to disallow. And if I didn't allow it, if I disapproved, I need to start looking at how to allow these things to come in, how to approve of them. But don't think you're better or worse than somebody because you're on the left side and they're on the right side. No, swap. Go on the right side. They go on the left side. It's about gaining experience, which is going to allow you to reflect and release. If all we're doing is just sitting around, wallowing in our sorrow, believing in that we're nothing, the things that we're reflecting on are going to create more of that. Once we start to get up, start moving around again, being more active, we allow ourselves to create, which is going to make more room or more opportunities for us to reflect on something different. When my relationship first ended, I did nothing. I sat around. Didn't have the will to do anything, right? I did, whatever. Screw it. So in that time that I sat around and did nothing, the only things I could reflect on were the traumatic things. And I would reflect on them, and then they would cause an emotion. That emotion would make me react, and I was stuck in this cycle for a while. This is why they talk about getting a hobby or going to the gym and why it's important. Because it's not just the gym simply. It's you being active, doing something that is taking your mind away. Because it's hard to think about that thing when you're doing something. And the more that I became active, now I have that to reflect on. My day in the gym, what I did today, instead of doing nothing and only reflecting on the trauma, my relationship being over, why I'm not enough, why doesn't anybody love me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they say, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Letting go of burdens allows for divine support and stability. For how are we going to get support when we holding on too much and there's no room to give you anything? Where you want me to put it? The arms is full. You want to set it down over there? You're never going to be able to pick it up. You're holding on to too much. The moment you put something down, let something go, now you have space for that new to come in. How can you be renewed when you're too busy holding on to everything that's old? You won't let go of the old, so how can we be renewed? We got to let some of it go. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger be put away from you with all malice. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger be put away from you with all malice. Ephesians 4:31. And this is releasing that negativity, releasing those negative emotions is going to pave the way for that peace and growth. So if we are not experiencing peace and growth, the question is, did we release? Because when we release those negative emotions, we start moving towards that peace and growth. How many times has it been that you have said, you know what? Whatever, I'm gonna let it go. And then all of a sudden, you immediately feel lighter. You feel refreshed. You feel uplifted. But the whole time you were holding on to that, you were stuck in that emotion, felt like the weight of the world was on your back. You couldn't move. You were stiff. You weren't happy. Felt stuck, stagnant. Those burdens that we are carrying add to that. And the more of them that we carry, the more heavier life feels, the harder it is to move. Seems like it takes all of our energy just to take a step every day, just to get out the bed. We have to begin to let go. Roy T. Bennett says, let go of something old that no longer serves you in order to make room for something new. Embrace the change and watch the doors begin to open to new opportunities. An African proverb that actually goes along with this is, you cannot fill a cup that is already full. And if you've been here before, you know how I love that analogy of the half full cup. Is it half full or half empty? Depends. Depends on you. So we use that analogy and we say, is it half full or half empty? Yet do we recognize how much room is there for growth in a half full cup? I can still fill it up to the top, or I can drink it down to the bottom. If my cup is full, what can you put? You can't fill up a cup that is already full. And then if my cup is empty, then I need to be filled up. So if you have an empty cup, are you going where you can be fulfilled? Or are you stuck holding on to those places, those people, those things who take from you? So this is why your cup is empty and it's never being fulfilled. And on the flip side of that, are you one who walks around with a full cup? You know it all, so nobody can ever put anything into you. Nobody can ever teach you anything, show you anything, give you anything, or love you for real because your cup is full and you're not going to pour any of it out because your cup is full. Because there are those that would rather, they feel prideful to have a full cup to be full of it. You cannot fill a cup that is already full. Release the old to welcome growth. Begin to make space. The past. The past. It takes up a lot of space in our life. Yet at the same time, it's the past. So if somebody is in your way, let's say we're driving down the street and there is a cone in the street. Are you going to run it over? You're going to go around it? Or are you going to stop? Now, imagine that cone is in the street. So instead of going around it, you stop because there's a cone in the street. What did you just cause? Everything behind you to now stop. So now traffic is stagnant and there is a traffic jam. And then when we find out what caused the traffic jam, it was you. You were stuck behind a cone because you weren't able to move past. When we look at it on its own, it's the past. It means a lot to us. It's our memories. It's everything we are. Yet the past is back there because your job is to keep going, to move past. You don't move past, you cause a traffic jam. Now you're stuck. Now we're backed up. Now it takes us longer to get to where we're going because we won't move past. We have to figure out what it is that's causing us not to move past this obstruction that's in our life. Because the past is not the thing that we must hold on to. It's the thing that we must grow through. We have to move past it, to release it. Because if I hold on to the past, what does my future look like? What does the present moment look like? And if the present moment is stagnant and it's congested, what is my future delayed? You are getting up to go to work. You are presently in your house. When you get in your car and leave, your house is now in the past. You are in the present moment in that vehicle, moving towards the future, which is the destination, your job or wherever you're going. Your client, that's the future. If traffic is there, it blocks and hinders you from arriving to your destination in the time that you're supposed to. Will you still make it there? Sure. But now you got to explain why you're 30 minutes or an hour late. Life is very much like this. You are going to arrive at your destination. Yet, wouldn't you rather arrive there in a decent amount of time before you got too old in your mind? Because I don't believe you're ever too old, too broken, too tired, too irritated, because there are those who will get stuck in that traffic and say, fuck it. I'm turning around and going back home. I give up. So there's no guarantee until we guarantee. And the way that we do that is by understanding that the past is for moving past. Yet in order to move past the past, in order to move past that obstruction that is blocking us, hindering us, causing a traffic jam, we got to learn. And learning, believe it or not, happens through reflection. Not till you went home, did your homework, or whatever you were doing. One day in class, you're like, oh, I get it now. Oh. You had to reflect on whatever that lesson was, what you got wrong, what you were doing in order to understand. So if we are not willing to reflect, to look back at our past objectively, to see what was that? Do we learn the things that we need to move presently towards our future? Or are we creating that traffic jam that's hindering us from arriving at our destination on time or at all? Reflection is a tool for growth. And therefore, not reflecting is what stagnates. It's not the fact that you are looking at your past. It's the fact that you are not learning from it. This is what has you stuck, fearful, uncertain, doubtful. And we want to give you some tools. We want to give you the proper mindset to be able to understand, to analyze your situation, understand what needs to be done, and then act on it. What good does it do for us to reflect on something, learn what we needed to learn from it, and then refuse to act on it? I don't care about that. Whatever. It is what it is. I just wanted to learn what the problem was, but I'm not going to do anything different. I'm not going to apply a different scenario to my life to create a different outcome. I am going to say, well, whatever, keep doing the same thing and yet complain why my outcomes are all the same. It's not just about, oh, I learned. Did you apply it? Without application, you're not receiving. You went to the job and you told them you need a job and you didn't apply, and then you went home and you said, why they didn't call me? You didn't apply. Why do we think that it's any different in our life? We think that we're going to sit around and not apply ourselves. Excuse me. That we're going to sit around and not apply ourselves. Yet somehow we're going to receive gold bricks that fall out the sky or something. I have no clue. Yet I used to be there too. Sit around and you're just waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for, but I was just told, like, oh, you wait, 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 you wait. Yes, you must wait. There's times that you must wait. Okay. Back to my farmer analogy. When you plant those seeds in the ground, you got to wait. Once the work is done, you wait. Yet we ain't doing no work, but we waiting. We ain't planting seeds, but we waiting. What you waiting for? For somebody else to come do it for you. Are we noticing that never happens? Are we noticing that as we're waiting for somebody to help us, they're just walking past us? We're asking them for help and they just keep walking like they don't see us? Yet we're still waiting. We're still asking for something or someone else to come help us when we were told, get up, go get it. Because I made it available to you. It is there for you. So you don't receive it because you didn't believe it. And without that belief, you didn't get up to go. You stayed stagnant. You stayed stuck. You stayed waiting. You are what you believe. So believe, inspired. Believe that you can never stop prospering. It requires effort daily. So if I want to prosper, I need to give effort daily. What does that mean? Does that mean I need to get up and get 16 hours to? No. Effort is different on each day, but you must give effort each day. Get up every day. Push yourself every day. And I think a lot of times we push ourselves in work. We'll push ourselves to work harder. And we don't push ourselves to understand, to reflect, to go internally, to connect. This is what we're talking about. It requires effort daily. Every day you got to get up and reflect, to remind yourself. Because one day you don't remind yourself, that's the day that you forgot. We set reminders for everything else. What time we need to be at work, calorie count, what we need to eat, picking the kids up, dropping the spouse off, doing this, doing that. Yet you never set a reminder. You never remind yourself of who you are. Because you don't know. How could you know? You holding on to so much of who you thought you were. How are we going to make room to actually identify who we are? How can we make room to actually grow into ourselves? A key that we have to unlock that is assessing past experiences to identify the lessons that we need to learn, to recognize the patterns that have hindered our progress, and then define a new pattern to remove that, to release us from that. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in faith. Prove your own selves. Examine yourselves. That's the first commandment in this scripture. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves. How many times do we do that? It requires effort daily. Are you examining yourself daily? See, the effort we want to give, we want to go to the gym every day, and I commend you for that. That's what's up. You want to eat a meal every day. You need that nutrition. You do. You want to surf social media every day because that's where you get your news. Stay informed. Do what you do. Yet you don't want to examine yourself to prove your own self. That effort on a daily basis is going to ensure that you are prosperous in everything that you do, because you're dealing with the actual issue and with the solution. To examine ourselves, whether ye be in faith. Do I believe or do I not? What do I believe? And what don't I believe? And prove your own selves. This is also saying, yes, self-examination is crucial for our spiritual and personal development. Yet it's also saying that if we are not examining ourselves, then we are proving we are not in faith. How could we be in faith? It tells us to prove our own selves. This is something that I constantly tell my clients, my mentees, my community members, my friends, my family. Prove yourself right. Don't try to prove me wrong. Prove yourself right. And in the beginning, when I said that to him, it made no sense. Prove myself right. What? It's never going to make sense when we recognize we don't believe. So how am I going to prove myself right? I don't even believe in nothing. I don't believe in myself. How can I prove myself right? I believe in you, though, so I can prove you wrong, and I can do that as a career, as a hobby. This is what I jump on social media to do, to prove people wrong. You lying. These are the facts. The whole time, your life is stuck in the mud and you don't know how to get out. Yet, you want to prove somebody else wrong because that gives you this little dopamine effect or this instant gratification. And then you go right back to, damn, I don't know how to get myself out of this. The first key, examine yourself. Break yourself down. Since you want to do that for everybody else, this is what we do. We're taught to be crucial and to judge everybody else. Yet you will not examine, analyze, or positively judge yourself. You'll just talk down. You'll diminish yourself. Yet these are the ways you can begin to uplift and empower yourself. For in the Dhammapada, your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. We hear so much about mindfulness, and they're telling you to be mindful. Mindful of what? Your own unguarded thoughts. For the mindfulness of thought is essential for inner peace. You didn't even know you was thinking that way. Have you identified what's in your mind? What is creating that? The generator that is producing that negativity. You're worried about somebody who you think is your enemy, yet it's your own unguarded thoughts. I thought that I had an enemy for real. And I thought that that enemy could do something to me, that could stop me, block me, hinder me, and all they can do is cause me to be stuck in thought. Doesn't matter what they do, the laws that they make, the physical things they try to do to you, as much as we want to believe that that is meant to diminish us physically. So for instance, what am I trying to say? Let me be clear. One of my idols growing up was Malcolm X, still is. Love this man like he is my brother. Because of what he did, he transformed his own life and then began to talk to others. He didn't go around telling you what you need to do with your life. You need to do. He transformed his own life and then began to preach about the betterment of that. Yet when he was killed, what we thought that was, oh, they killed this man for who he was and to stop him and all that. Yes, maybe that's true. Yet on a larger scale, what that did to your thought, it made you stop believing. It made you say, see, we can't do nothing. Because if we do something, this is what's going to happen. You did not pay attention to the thousands of others who was doing. They use an example. And this is just something that I'm using as a personal story. But we see it all the time. We see it on the news. They're creating examples to affect your ability to think. So now your thoughts are unguarded. You're just accepting everything you see on social media, everything you hear on the news, every conversation you heard in the coffee shop, at the gym, walking down the street. It's unguarded. It's all coming in, and it makes you more fearful. You was walking and you heard somebody say, "Did you hear what they said on the news? They're going to kill." And now all of a sudden, you're afraid. And then you go spread that. "Well, I heard on the news that they're going to kill." And it just keeps going and going and going. And then you have a populace that is fearful, uncertain, and doubtful. And this is where control comes from. It starts in your mind before anything. What I do to your body, to your physical self, is only to subdue your mind, because we know you're strong until that pain hits you. What you do when that pain hits you, that emotion comes out, we'll see how strong you are. And so this is why our job is to keep going, because letting go gives us freedom. And freedom is the only condition for happiness. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. Are we not happy? We must not be free. If we're not free, what are we holding on to? Because at a time when my ancestors were enslaved in a country, there were those that were free. We have seen individuals who have been imprisoned, locked up, yet they were free. And we see people who are not locked up, technically in a prison. They're not enslaved, technically on a plantation or working for somebody. They go to their homes, they go to work, we do whatever we want. We live in the home of the free and the brave. Yet we feel like we have no power. How are we free? Because they have you subdued in the mind. You believe that they are capable of doing this. You believe that it's going to happen. You believe. That's why you receive. Because all it takes is for you to change that. How did those people who were enslaved become free? Because they stopped acting enslaved and started believing they were free. And guess what happened? Freedom came over time because the posture changed. For you only enslave a man in his mind. Do you know what it looks like to believe you have somebody trapped or caught or in prison or stuck and they happy? Have you ever heard the countless stories over time? Because they all change. This is why I'm not able to pinpoint a name and place, and because there's multiple stories about this, of courage, valor in the face of fear. Someone is in your face saying what they're going to do to you, and you have no fear, and you watch that person turn and go the other way. We admire that type of courage to stand up to that bully. And I'm here to tell you that that person that is willing to stand up to that bully had to stand up within themselves first. They had to change their thought first, because a fearful person is unlikely to develop that fearlessness to stand until they begin to change those thoughts, to rework it, to have an experience that shakes that for them. Takes a little sliver, a crack in the door, a little light comes in. That's all you need to act on it when you're ready. For Lakota tribe have a proverb that says, listen to the wind, it talks. Listen to the silence, it speaks. Stillness reveals truths hidden by noise. Are you listening? Did you hear? You have to stop and be still. Because you're moving so fast, moving around too much. There's too much noise going on. You can't actually hear what's being said to you. It's not that it's not being said. It's not that you're not receiving instruction. It's you're not hearing it. Listen to the wind. It talks. Listen to the silence. It speaks. So what past experiences have taught you valuable lessons? Thinking on my past experiences that have taught me valuable lessons. One of the worst experiences taught me the lesson that releasing is necessary. Because I held on to something so long when I knew I should have let it go. That if you don't release, you will be released. You're going to be forced out. And that doesn't have to happen because we don't like that. Before you was fired from a job, you probably knew you should have quit. Before that relationship ended, you probably knew it was over. Before you went into the hospital, you probably felt yourself getting sick. So that releasing then is a necessity because it makes the room for us to grow. But more importantly, release is an act of self-care. And if we're holding on, how much are we caring for ourselves? Live and let go. Let go and live. Live and let go. And when you flip it around, it means the same thing. Let go and live. So if you're holding on to it, this is affecting your life, your ability to live fully and completely as you are meant to be. Limiting beliefs, toxic relationships, unproductive habits. Let it go. Let it go. Understand that holding on to that past, like we said earlier, is going to impede future progress. Let it go. Let it go. That movie. Like, little did I know when I was watching that movie with my children, Frozen, and we were singing the songs, and I was like, "Yo, that actually makes sense." They're saying, "Let it go, let it go," and it's a mantra. Like that song, I play that song for real because it's telling you about what we need to do. Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. This is what happens if we're holding on. We're being held back. Let it go and live. Come unto me, All ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Surrender. Surrender. I give up. We don't like saying that. We're like, you know what? I give up. You know what happens to the person that gives up during war? They live. They live. They learn, okay, you know what? I live. I surrender. I'm letting these burdens go. Okay. Now you can receive rest and rejuvenation. We can't be rested or rejuvenated when we don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it go. No, I can't. I can't let it go. I'm going to hold on to this forever. Sure. Like I told you, you have free will. That is the beauty. You can hold on to it forever if you want to, or you can let it go. The choice is yours. I simply am showing you your choice so that you can feel more empowered to say, okay, this is what I choose. That's what I want to do. I want to hold on to this. Great. Good for you. I want to let this go. Great. Good for you. We want to take our power back, to understand, number one, that we got power, period. No matter who you are, no matter how tall you are, how small you are, how strong you are, you have power. It's not determined by if you're male or female, black or white, tall or short, skinny or fat. No, you have power, period. Now, how much, what your power is, that's what we want to find out. Every superhero has a power. We just don't know what yours is. So we want to unlock you so we can see what your superpower is. Oh, snap. That's actually pretty cool. You can levitate. Dang. You might have more than one power. Who knows? We don't know until you find out. Yet if you don't find out, we never know. So as much as this is a personal journey of yours, you also deprive the world from that presence, from that experience, from that exceptionality. We don't get to see it. And so what we end up seeing is a few people who do it, and then we deem them as exceptional, and then we believe that we can't do it. And we're all exceptional in our own ways. And as we learn, we can release those things that was impacting our ability to be exceptional, that was hindering our superpower. And now we can start to express that. Now we can start to be that. We can wield that hammer if we are Thor, or we can fly like Superman, or leap tall buildings in a single bound. And I hope we don't take that literally as if you're about to leap a tall building. That tall building is that obstacle that was in your way. That hammer is now that new train of thought that you have that can now demolish anything in its way, because the moment that you get an obstacle, you no longer think, oh, this thing is in my way and I'll never make it. Nope. You say, this thing is in my way. Okay. But I'm about to go around it, over, under, or through it, whichever way. We're just going to decide what's the best route for us, and then we're going to act on it. When your mind becomes empowered like that, who going to stop me? Who going to stop me, huh? So the question is, has anybody ever stopped you for real? Or have we always stopped and hindered ourselves? The obstacle is there, yet we chose to stop instead of finding our way around it. The power is always yours, and we never want to give that up and believe that we are powerless. We want to actually understand our powers and how to wield them for the greater good. Respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, grows you, or makes you happy. Respect yourself. Respect yourself enough. Respect yourself enough to walk away. Respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, grows you, or makes you happy. Robert 2. Respect yourself enough to walk away. So if you're thinking negatively of what will happen if you walk away, well, if I walk away, then this, and I reframe it. I respect myself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves, grows, or makes me happy. Matter of fact, instead of happiness, replace that with joy. Happiness comes and goes. Joy produces. When joy is in control, as if you've watched that movie, where's that movie called? In and Out? Inside Out? That's it. You seen that. You saw when joy was in control, what happened? What happened? Everybody was actually in their respective spaces, doing what they needed to do. Sometimes anger got on. Sometimes this person got. When joy got moved out of the space, chaos, chaos. So who is operating from the inside out? Is joy in control of your life? And we want joy to be in control of our life. So we have to determine that I respect myself enough to walk away from anything. I don't care what it is. I walk away from anything that does not serve me, grow me, or allow me to be in joy. Because self-respect involves releasing what hinders our well-being, not making an excuse for why it's staying around or why we need it or why we can't. Sometimes the things that break your heart end up being the same things that fix your vision. Oh. And that hit for me personally. Because the thing that broke my heart, the thing that shattered my world, the thing that made me push me to rock bottom is also the same thing that fixed my vision, that allowed me to see clearly now that the rain is gone. Those painful experiences can lead to clarity and growth when we learn from them. We allow them to teach us instead of allowing us to leech on to them, never let go. Now we don't move past it. Now we don't have clarity or growth. We're stuck and it's raining and storming every single day and we sing in the blues. You do know that after the rain, the sun comes out and creates a rainbow, which we have all said is one of the most beautiful things that you can see. That rainbow, which came after the rain, brought to you by the sun, is the clarity and growth that came from the pain. The sun shall shine again, and that rainbow shall be the life that you live as you move past those painful experiences and you gain that clarity and growth. Not only are you that rainbow, what's at the end of the rainbow? A pot of gold. Do you believe in magic? That's the question. For Thich Nhat Hanh says, letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. Surrender those attachments to find peace. So what are you willing to release today to find that peace? That's right. Anything and everything. If it don't attribute, it's gotta go. I'm sorry. Goodbye. So now, what next? Tools. Right? We need to know, we need the right tools that we can use so that we can reflect, so that we can learn and allow for that growth to happen. So the first tool is something that you need to get used to. Because you're gonna hear this over and 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 over until you start doing it. You don't get mad that you need your key to get in your car and start it up every day to drive, do you? You're not frustrated that you got to carry that phone with you every day in order to receive and make calls and communicate, do you? So if you want your life to be better, you need to journal. The journaling, write down, let's write down three things. Three things that we want to release. We're going to write down three things that we want to release. And then we're going to affirm our intention to let it go. So we write down the three things I want to release. I want to release Mandela from prison. I want to release my ancestors from bondage. I want them to release Grand Theft Auto 6. And then you affirm that, right? You affirm it with your own affirmation of how you are intent to let that go. And I want to say this for those watching, those listening. You may have just saw me laugh and make humor out of a situation, but trust me, I don't laugh at your pain or your trauma. I am in a place where I'm in joy. So I laugh at my pain and my trauma because the fact that had me stuck over there in the traffic jam is hilarious. And I think they should release Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm not going to lie to you. Overdue. Another tool, though, that we can use for reflection and release, meditation and prayer. And this is very important for me because when I start hearing about meditation, I start to wonder, well, okay, so what is meditation? And one thing that I've always asked when I was deep in religion is, what is prayer? We're told these things a lot. How many times are you shown these things? So I'm simply saying that we don't separate them. It's meditation and prayer. And we're not going to get deep in that into this talk. We do that offline. So you reach out to me. Hey, I've got plenty of things that break that down so you can understand the difference between meditation and prayer. But these two things go together. So you want to spend that time in meditation and you want to be not necessarily focusing, but allowing those things to be released from you. Watching those burdens go away. Inviting that peace in. And when we spend that time in silence, the one thing that we don't like to do, we don't like to spend time in silence. We don't even like for it to be quiet. Some of us don't even like to sleep without a TV on or the lights on. And the lights make noise. TV makes noise. Silence is going to invite in what we need to hear. Or remember, listen to the silence, for it speaks. Yet if we are never in silence, we are never listening. Meditation and prayer. And lastly, physical activity. Engage in activities like walking, do some yoga, run if you want to, ride a bike. I don't see people riding bikes as much anymore. When I was a kid, that's all we did. We rode bikes, skateboards, rollerblades, any and everywhere. And it's like, dang, you don't see a lot of that anymore. We see so much interstate highways being built. You don't even recognize you don't even have sidewalks to walk on no more. So everything is forcing you to be in a car or transportation. And this is why it is now most important for you to be physically active, because most of us sit down or stagnant majority of our days. And there are studies that are proving this. Matter of fact, I was just on YouTube not too long ago, and I saw this video of a trucker. Matter of fact, it wasn't even a trucker. It was a truck standing still and the rain was pouring outside. And this is a reel. And the words on the screen said, it is important as a trucker to move your body because you're sitting down in this seat all the time. And this is going to lead to a shorter lifespan. And all in the comments, people were saying, my father used to drive trucks and he got sick. And my husband used to do this and this person used to do that. And they were all professing how that was true. People in their 50s and 60s gone. Because for so long, we were stagnant. We just sat and we drive all over the road. Yeah, that's what we are all doing now. We're sitting in office cubicles. Shit, we have entrepreneurs and content creators that sit at home. So we are freer to do more with our time, yet we choose it to do things that are inactive. Because that activity is going to be strenuous. Even just a walk, you might sweat. People don't want to sweat. That is releasing toxins from your body. So you don't want to release toxins from your body. To walk, I always normally go on a walk like every Wednesday. And I just do that to connect because what I found out is simply walking, just walking, not on my phone, not listening, just walking. You're going to start releasing. There are certain thoughts that's going to come to your head. And it's like, it's very therapeutic. But how many times do we do that? We're worried about the distance and the weather. And it's like, just walk, man. Just get outside. Go put your feet in the grass. Go to the park. Go do something. Because doing nothing ensures that we're going to make it to the end faster than we wanted to. So if you want to fast forward the movie of your life and get straight to the end, sit around and do nothing. This is how we're getting there at such a rate because we don't want to be active. And then our surroundings are creating it to make it harder for us to be active. And that's why we got to get going. Because when the going gets tough, the tough gets going and you tough as nails. So get up, get out, get you some fresh air, get you some sun. Begin to let go of those things. And meditation and prayer, I just talked about that. We need to spend time in silence. And the scriptural wisdom that will back that up comes from Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. Didn't say move around. It didn't say fuck around and find out. It said be still and know. Yet you want to fuck around and find out. You keep messing around, you're going to find out why you should have been still. You're going to find out why you didn't know because it says be still and know. That's a statement. It didn't say, and maybe be still and know that I am God. And what do we have an issue with? Being in silence, being still. This is why we lack relation to God. We lack understanding. We don't want to be still. So we don't know. So we ask. We ask other people and they'll tell us, but we don't know. And as I've said before, it ain't for me to tell you, it's for you to know. God talks to you like he talked to me. You don't need an interpreter. Yet because you're not still, you don't know. So you go to interpreters. And you want somebody to tell you. You want somebody to do it for you. When it's already been commanded, all you got to do is be still. You've already been told what to do. Be still and know that I am God. He also told us that you are put here to establish dominion and to be fruitful. We don't want to establish dominion because we don't want to develop ourselves, and we're not going to be still, so we do not know. Let go of certainty. The opposite isn't uncertainty, it's openness, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace paradox. This is a quote from Tony Schwartz. Embracing uncertainty can lead to personal growth. And in Taoism, it says, sit in stillness and the answers will rise like water. Sit in stillness and the answers will rise like water. And then in the Bible, it says, be still. But we know better because we have free will. We can do whatever we want to do. So we know better. So we ain't going to sit in stillness and we ain't going to be still. And we ain't going to spend time in silence. And we ain't going to write down 3 things. Yet we're going to wonder, why is my life like this? And I hope that you no longer wonder. I hope that you are hearing. I hope that you are being still and knowing and receiving so that you can start doing what needs to be done. And so I invite us as we close out to reflect on these 3 things. Here are our reflections for this week. What have you recently let go of that has positively impacted your life? What have you recently let go of that has positively impacted your life? How do you identify what no longer serves you? I would love to hear that one. How do you identify what no longer serves you? And lastly, what support do you need to continue your journey of release and growth? I want to hear that one too. What support do you need to continue your journey of release and growth? Because we're here to support that. So in closing, I want to say that letting go is not a one and done thing. It's not a one-time event. It's not you do it once and then I'm good. No, it's a continuous process, just like the journey, just like life. We're seeing that this is a continuous process. And it still continues on after we're gone. So don't think it's a one-off. You're going to do something one time and then you're good. I journaled one time and I'm good. No, it's a continuous. Remember, to be inspired is to never stop prospering. It requires effort daily. And in Ephesians 4:23, it says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Renewal begins with a transformed mindset. In the words of Confucius, he who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. And so, challenges that we have for the week.